This video is to teach you how to get ProPresenter set up before going to 801 and getting everything set up. This is how to get the right lyrics and the right images on the screen, how to work ProPresenter, basically. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to create a new playlist. I'm going to create it down here under special events because I want to make sure that this new playlist stays out of the way of what we already have lined up with 801, since this is just a test. But it's freezing on me right now, so it doesn't like that. Let's see if I can instead bring this up. There we go. And you're just going to click New Playlist, and I'm just going to name this one Test. Once you're done with that, you can just scroll that back, and you've got the full playlist here, which right now is nothing because we need to add things to it. At the beginning and ending of every 801, we have our announcement loop. We have two announcement loops in our library. The first announcement loop is just called Announcement Loop. That's our announcement loop for the ballroom and the food court. It's our aspect ratio of 4:3 or 1024 by 768, and that fits our screen that we own. We also have a 16:9 announcement loop, and notice how the aspect ratio of these images change. That's for when we're in the PSU theater and there's a wide screen in the theater, and so we use this aspect ratio. So let's pretend that we're in the theater for this particular week. We're going to drag down the announcement loop, and let's do it twice because we put it at the beginning and the end of every 801. Now notice this. This says that document size does not match the output resolution. Before we really do anything else, we want to make sure our output resolution is correct in ProPresenter. So because we switch back and forth from this aspect ratio of 16:9 and this aspect ratio in the regular announcement loop, which is 4:3, we have to let ProPresenter know that that's what we're doing so that it looks right on the screen. So we're going to click ProPresenter 6 and go to Preferences. Now here we have two different aspect ratios that we use. In pixels, it's 1024 by 768 when we're in the ballroom and when we're in the food court. But since we're acting like we're in the theater, we want it at the 16:9 aspect ratio, which in pixels is 1920 by 1080. And once we do that, the output is going to be correct. We want to make sure that this second screen says out while we're doing this, because that means that whatever we output in ProPresenter is going to go to the second screen, which is the projector. And so once we've got that, now that little deal went away. So let's say for the announcement loop, we want to add and subtract some things. Right now, I actually have some slides that are hidden because they don't apply. So for example, it looks like this was a week in which Nighthawks and Stakeout weren't a thing. So instead of just deleting the slide, I've just disabled the slide. So you can do that by right-clicking and clicking Enable or Disable Slide. And that just means it's going to be skipped over, but it's going to stay in here so that we can use it in different weeks. Let's say that this is a Stakeout Nighthawks week, so we're going to enable those slides. And so that means that Steakhawks is disabled. Okay. Now, as we look through this, let's say that one of these slides doesn't even need to be here anymore. We look at the Israel trip, and the Israel trip got canceled. And so we don't need to keep it in this announcement loop anymore, so we can right-click on it and just delete it. And then let's also say that we need to add a slide. There's something that we need to bring in to ProPresenter. We can make that image, we can make that slide, and then we can get it by clicking Video/Image. And you've got a lot of menus here. We've got some what are called hot folders here. That's typically the teaching slides any given week. We bring them in as hot folders, and we'll talk about that in a second. But for this, we don't really use backgrounds anymore. Foregrounds are all of the images. And so if you're looking for, let's say, free pizza in the PSU, you can just search free pizza, and we've got two images, one in 4:3 and one in 16:9. Since we're in 16:9 in the theater, we're going to use that one. And so we need to add a slide to the announcement loop 16:9. That slide's going to come up there, and you can just drag the correct image to there, and you can move it around anywhere you want within the loop. Let's say the slide that you need hasn't been pulled into ProPresenter yet, so you can't actually search for it. It's not going to come out. To add an image to ProPresenter, you're going to press this plus button, and that's going to take you to your files on the computer, and you can pull in an image from the computer. Let's do the hashtag CCH stay connected, and then we can search for that. And look, it pulls up right there. And so we're going to add another slide and drag it in. Now, once you have your announcement loop set up, you want to make sure that every single slide is going to move to the next slide and that this whole thing is going to loop. If you notice, it just stopped on the CCH stay connected, and it's just going to stay there. It's not going to continue looping because we brought it in as a new slide, and it's not set to do that yet. And so how you fix that is you click on the first slide of the announcement loop, and you go to this clock, and you select the number of seconds that you want each slide to go. I like 7 seconds for an announcement loop. And this allows for every single slide within that to be set to stay on the screen for 7 seconds and then move to the next slide. And then it's automatically going to make the last slide of the loop have this little icon, which means it's going to bump back to the beginning. Beautiful. So that's pretty much all you need to know about the announcement loop. Let's go ahead and clear those things. We're going to search for the countdown. I have a countdown. I've got several random countdowns in here, but the main one is just countdown. We use it every single week, and we're going to drag that in to the second thing. Now, notice this symbol is up on the screen. That's because this is set up as a 4:3 aspect ratio, even though we're looking at 16:9 for the theater. So we're just going to click that and resize it, and it's going to automatically do it with this. And so that countdown will go, and it's automatically set to move to the welcome slide whenever the full 5 minutes is done. Now this is how you pull in a song. Let's say our first song is Glorious Day. So you're going to look for Glorious Day in the library, and if it's there, awesome. If it's not there, that means it's a new song, and we need to find it on Song Select. So we can go to Song Select here, and we can look up Glorious Day, and eventually, I forgot to press enter, you can find the song. Let's make sure this is the correct version. Yes, this is the Glorious Day that we sing, and you can click import, and that's going to bring this song into this library. We don't need to do that right now, but you know you have that option. You also have the option of creating a song from scratch by clicking new, create new presentation, and you can type in Glorious Day and click new. You can select a template first to get the correct template, and we'll go through templates here in a second. Click new, and then you can start editing. But for most of the time, we already have a song in the library. So Glorious Day, we're going to select the song, and we're going to pull it down into the playlist. So it's our first song, so it comes right after the countdown and the welcome. Now, notice a couple things. One, it's already in 16:9, which is good, and the lyrics look like they fit pretty well in the screen. But you want to make sure this song is using the correct template. So we're going to click on that first slide, and we're going to go to Template, and all of our templates are in CCH Defaults 4:3. It's a terrible name. I need to fix the name. But CCH Defaults 4:3 has all of our active templates. And you're going to select 16:9 lyrics because these are song lyrics in 16:9 aspect ratio. If it was a scripture, you can select 16:9 scripture or 4:3 scripture if we're in the ballroom or the food court. 16 by 9 lyrics. You're going to click that, and it's going to adjust all these. But I think this is already on the correct template, and so it's not going to make any changes. The next thing you do is you change the arrangement. Let's say that the arrangement this week is going to repeat this chorus. Instead of just doing it once, we're going to do it twice. So we can pull in that chorus one again. And all of these things can be dragged in to the arrangement at any time. You can create a new arrangement. This one's set to default. There's also a tag arrangement. And notice that changes the arrangement here. We've just got a beginning slide, the bridge, chorus, and blank. And so we've got a couple different arrangements. That's the normal arrangement, but you can always adjust it. The master setting just has, it doesn't have an arrangement. It just has all of the pieces for the song in here. So we've got the verses, we've got the choruses lined out, we've got a blank and a beginning slide. All of that stuff is in here. So if you need to create a part of a song that doesn't already exist, let's say like a tag, you want to tag just the last slide of the chorus, what you can do is you can copy that slide and you can paste it. Now right now, it's just showing that that's going to be a part of the chorus. So every time you pull in a chorus into an arrangement, it's going to have that extra slide. But maybe you don't want that. You want this to exist as a tag on its own. It's only going to happen once in the song. You can right-click it and go to Group Label, and you can select Tag. Now it's its own element. And so whenever you go back to adjusting an arrangement, you can pull in this tag wherever you want within the arrangement. We're going to get rid of that though, because I don't think we ever will use that as a tag. And so we can just delete an element in the master and it'll be gone forever. Whenever you create a new song, with song select, it's already going to arrange it by like verse 1, verse 2, chorus, whatever. But it's not going to have these blank slides, and it's not going to have a beginning slide. And so whenever you create a new song, it's going to start with this master, and you want to create some of these things. And you can do so by, just copying a slide, pasting, and then you can do like a quick edit here and just get rid of the lyrics, and you can do a group label and call this, a beginning or a blank slide. And you want to create stuff like that. If this is called the bridge, but it's actually not a bridge, it's something else, you can go to group label and mess with that. Let's look at edit slide. This edit slide window allows for you to go in and edit these slides. There are a couple things that you need to know about this. One is that sometimes you get like 5 lines all on one slide, and that's kind of obnoxious. Let's make something that looks like that. Let's say you've got something like this. You don't want all that text on the screen at any given time, so you can automatically make something go to the next slide by putting your cursor where you want to make that break, and you're going to hit Control Enter. And when you hit Control Enter, everything after that cursor will go to the next slide. It'll create a new slide. And so now we just have I was buried beneath my shame, and if we click on the next slide, we've got the other lines. And we can do that same thing again if we want. We can put the cursor where we want it, Control Enter, and it creates a new slide. It was my tomb till I met you. I'm going to delete what I just did because I made the verse twice as long as it needs to be. There we go. So you can edit any of these things. You can do the group label and all of that stuff from here, so you can arrange everything the way that you want it. And that's how you adjust individual songs. And so you want to make sure that when it's in this playlist, you want to have it on the correct arrangement. So that way, whenever it's ready to go for Tuesday night, you've got the arrangement already pulled up for each song. So we've got songs, and then typically we have what we call teaching images, and that's what we use for whoever's teaching. And so we can pull that in, and once again we've got this little icon so we can resize these things. And now notice these items are going to get scrunched. Hopefully we're going to be given a slideshow that's in the correct aspect ratio that we can pull in to ProPresenter. One of the things is that we have this better icon in both 4:3 and 16:9. So we can just search better, and we've got better 16:9. So we can bring that in, and that fits the aspect ratio. This is the bumper video, and just like images, videos can also be pulled in. So that's actually right there, better bumper video, and you can just drag that onto a slide, and then so once you click on that slide, it'll eventually play. There it goes. I have it set up to immediately go to the next slide after it's done. How I do that is I have a go to next timer, and for videos, you just set it to 0. It says in the case of foregrounds videos, that's a typo, foreground videos, this is the amount of time the last frame of the video will be displayed. We want the last frame of the video to be displayed for 0 seconds, and then it's automatically going to move to the next slide. You can also set that for if you want an image to be on the screen for like 15 seconds and then automatically go to the next slide. You can set that up and you can watch it happen. And I'll just keep talking while it's going to go to that, but you'll see it here in a second. The other things we need to consider is how do we get these images in here. Now you can pull, there it went, see? You can pull individual, I'm going to get rid of this, sorry. Oh, maybe I can't. How do I get rid of that? I've done a bad thing. Just going to take the easy way out. Okay. We tend to pull in these slides as hot folders. And what hot folders do is it allows for an entire folder of images to come into ProPresenter. So if you click new hot folder, and if you've got all of the images in a file for the teaching images, we often put them in PowerPoints, and all of a sudden you can see these slides. You can click on that and select OK, and that creates a hot folder. And now if you click on any of these hot folders, you've got the teaching images for that week, and you can just drag them into the teaching images. That's pretty easy, no big deal there. The final thing that we tend to do for 801s is we do announcement times, and so we've got an announcements thing, and we can pull that in to the timeline here. Once again, we need to adjust, and now notice all of these images are going to look silly. They're not filling up the whole screen. We have, for all of these announcement slides, we have 2 different versions. We have a 16:9 version and a 4:3 version. And so if you go to foregrounds down here, and if you look up, say, Nighthawks, you've got 16:9 and 4:3, and we've got different Nighthawk slides depending on the thing. So we can drag in the 16:9, and now that fills up the screen. Same with Stakeout, and so on and so forth. And you can do that for the rest of those. Once you get everything going, you can click Contiguous, and that allows for you to see all of the different elements of your playlist all in one screen. And so it's working on it here. It's going to take just a little bit. There it goes. and now you can scroll through everything that you've created. One of the things I like to do to make sure I've got everything on the playlist is you can look back at other playlists, and you can pull up a previous one to just kind of see how that playlist was set up and make sure that yours is set up in a similar fashion. Sometimes it takes a while, especially when contiguous is on. If you want ProPresenter to move faster, you take off contiguous, and that makes it move faster, and you can just kind of click on the next thing and look at the individual elements there. Let's go back to our test. So after all of that, you should be set up and ready to go for an 801.